The bathhouse woke up before the town did, which was rude, because the town already smelled bad enough asleep. By sunset, however, it became the warmest place in Witchmere, and every tired soul knew it. Before we step through the steam and try not to slip on medieval floor tiles, tell me this. Where are you watching from? And what time is it there? Also, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the Whispering Historian. It helps keep the bathwater warm, the candles lit, and the suspicious monk in the corner from judging us too harshly. Our story begins in the year 1379 in a small English town beside a slow grey river. The town is called Witchmere, though half the locals say it like they are chewing bread. It has a church, a market square, a mill, 2 alehouses, 1 bridge, and far too many opinions. At the edge of the market lane stands a public bathhouse called St. Bridget's Baths. It is not grand like a Roman bath. It is not marble. It is not full of statues with dramatic poses. It is a timber building with a tiled roof, a brick furnace, wooden tubs, linen curtains, and a sign that creaks whenever the wind feels. Lonely, yet for years, it has been the warm heart of Witchmere. People come here to wash, gossip, ease sore backs, hear news, and pretend they came only for their health. But tonight, the sign outside swings like it knows a secret. Tomorrow, St. Bridget's Baths will close forever. And the strangest part is this. Most of the town still does not know the real reason. The bathkeeper is named Osric Vale. He is 51 years old, broad in the shoulders, and permanently pink in the face from years of steam. His beard is short and grey. His hands are rough from carrying buckets, splitting wood, scrubbing tubs, and pointing at people who try to leave without paying. Osric has run the bathhouse for 23 years. He knows which merchant snores in hot water. He knows which widow adds lavender when she thinks no one is looking. He knows which apprentice smells like onions before noon. A bathkeeper hears everything. The steam makes people careless with secrets. Osric wakes before dawn, even on this final day. He lies still for one moment in the little room behind the furnace wall. The bricks hold the faint warmth from the night before. Beside him, his wife Mara is already awake. She is 47, sharp-eyed, and harder to fool than a tax collector. She keeps the accounts. She cleans the linens. She boils herbs. She also knows when a customer is lying before the customer has chosen which lie to use. Mara turns her head. "You slept badly," she says. Osric stares at the ceiling beams. The roof snored. "That was you." Then the roof learned from me. Mara does not laugh, but her mouth nearly does. They have been married for 26 years at that point. Even jokes have duties. The first duty of the day is fire. Without fire, the bathhouse is only a damp wooden box full of disappointment. Osric pulls on his tunic and boots. The floor is cold. The air smells of ash, old soap, wet wood, and the faint sweetness of dried herbs. He opens the furnace door. Inside, the embers are almost gone. He kneels and feeds them with twigs. Then he adds wood. The flame catches slowly. It blinks awake. Then it grows hungry. Soon the brick furnace begins to breathe heat again. This is the moment when the bathhouse becomes alive. And if you listen closely, the building sounds almost relieved. Mara enters with a candle. Her hair is wrapped in a plain cloth. She carries a basket of linen strips. Last morning, she says, Osric does not answer at first. He places another log in the furnace. Sparks jump. "Aye," he says, "last morning. They do not speak of it more." Not yet. Some sadness must be warmed slowly before it can be touched. In the backyard, 2 boys are already late. Their names are Kit and Rowan. They are apprentices, which means they do all the work no adult wishes to name. Kit is 14 and very quick. Rowan is 16 and built like a door that forgot its hinges. They carry water from the well, chop wood, scrub boards, empty tubs, and argue about who is doing more. Rowan insists he works harder. Kit insists Rowan only looks busy because he moves slowly. This argument has lasted 3 years and may outlive the kingdom. Osric steps into the yard and finds them staring at the bucket. The bucket has cracked, water leaks onto the stones. Kit points at Rowan. Rowan points at the bucket. It betrayed us. Rowan says, Osric closes his eyes. The day has begun, but keep watching these boys. Before midnight, one of them will find something hidden under the bathhouse floor. The town outside is waking. A baker's oven glows down the lane. A cart rolls toward the market. A rooster screams like it has discovered politics. The church bell rings for morning prayer. Witchmere stretches under a cloudy sky. It looks ordinary. That is the trick of last days. They often begin like any other day. Osric and the boys fill the large copper cauldrons. Water must be heated, carried, mixed, and poured into the wooden tubs. The bathhouse has several rooms. The main room holds large tubs for common bathing. Curtains can be drawn for modesty, though the curtains have heard more secrets than a priest. A smaller room is reserved for customers who pay extra. There is also a sweating room near the furnace. It is hot, damp, and loved by people who believe suffering proves health. Mara prepares herbs in the washing room. Rosemary, lavender, sage, mint, and a little thyme. Herbs do not make the town clean, but they help it smell more hopeful. That is not a small thing in the Middle Ages. People were not always as filthy as some tales claim, but life was muddy, smoky, and full of labor. A hot bath was comfort. A clean linen cloth was a small miracle. Warm water could ease pain, remove lice, soften muscles, and make a person feel human again. This is why St. Bridget's baths matters. It is not only a business, it is mercy with a roof. By mid-morning, the first customer arrives. It is Elda Finch, the midwife. She is old enough to remember winters everyone else has turned into legends. She carries a basket and walks with a stick. She uses the stick for balance, emphasis, and occasional justice. You are closing tomorrow, she says. Osric looks at Mara. Good morning to you too, Alda snorts. Do not good morning me. I heard the council made the order. Mara folds a linen cloth. The council makes many orders. Most are foolish. This one is not most. Alda studies them both. Her eyes narrow. The steam begins to rise behind Osric. In that steam, he suddenly looks older. Alda lowers her voice. Is it because of the fever? Osric says nothing. And now the first real question hangs in the room. What fever? And why has no one spoken of it aloud? Alda is given the first bath. She pays with coins and a bundle of dried comfrey. Osric accepts both. She lowers herself into the warm water with a sigh so deep it could have been stored in a barrel. If heaven is real, she says it has hot water and no loud men. Mara says then no town council will enter. Alda laughs. The sound fills the room. For a moment, nothing feels ending. Then the door opens again. A young barber surgeon steps in, carrying a leather case. His name is Gilbert Ash. He trims beards, pulls teeth, bleeds men who think they have too much bad blood, and says, this will only hurt a little with criminal confidence. He comes every Thursday. Today is Thursday, last day, he says. I thought you would pretend not to know, Osric replies. Gilbert sets down his case. I pretend many things, but not for free. He wants the sweating room. He says his joints ache. Mara says his joints ache because he keeps running after customers who hear the word tooth. Gilbert grins. A good tooth runs faster than a bad man. He passes Osric a small folded paper. Osric takes it without looking. This is not a bill. This is not a joke. This is something dangerous. Keep that folded paper in mind. It will explain why the bathhouse cannot survive the night. By noon, the bathhouse is full. Steam clouds the rafters. Water sloshes in tubs. Wooden stools scrape the floor. People talk across curtains. A cloth merchant complains about the price. A carter says he has been on the road since dawn and smells like proof. Two apprentices from the mill argue over whose turn it is to soak. A widow named Ellen sings softly while washing her hair. The song is old and strange. It sounds like a lullaby that once belonged to rain. St. Bridget's baths has always been this way, a place where class softens for an hour. A merchant may sit near a mason A baker may hear news from a traveler. A servant may breathe warm air without being ordered for a few blessed minutes. Of course, people still know this rank. They always do. But steam blurs the edges. Steam makes everyone pink, damp, and a little ridiculous. Even pride slips when a man has soap in his eye. Osric moves through the rooms with buckets and towels. Mara watches the door. Kit stirs the cauldrons. Rowan carries wood. Nobody rests for long. A bathhouse is a creature with many mouths. It eats water, fuel, linen, soap, herbs, and patience. By early afternoon, the first trouble arrives wearing a clean cloak. His name is Bailiff Corvin. He serves the town council and enjoys the sound of his own boots. He steps inside and looks around as if the steam has personally offended him. The room grows quieter. Corvin is thin, pale, and very proud of a small beard that no one admires. Master Vale, he says. Bailiff, I trust you remember the order. Osric wipes his hands on a cloth. I remember. No bathing after sunset. We close at midnight. Corvin's eyes harden. You close when ordered. Mara steps forward. The order said the bathhouse must be closed by morning. Corvin looks at her. This is a mistake. Men who look at Mara that way often leave with smaller confidence. Mistress Vale, he says. The council expects obedience. The council also expected the bridge repair to last through spring, she says. It lasted 6 days. Someone behind the curtain coughs. It sounds almost like a laugh. Corvin's face tightens. And now the room knows this closure is not friendly. Corvin leans closer to Osric. No songs tonight. No feast. No crowd after dark. The church has concerns, Osric says. The church has had concerns for 20 years. This time, they have written them down. Corvin touches the parchment at his belt. Then he turns and leaves. The door shuts behind him. For a moment, only water drips. Then Alda's voice rises from her tub. That man was born from cold porridge. The room laughs, the tension breaks, but not fully. It lingers in the steam. People speak more softly now. The bathhouse feels watched. In the private room, Gilbert, the barber surgeon, waits until no one is near. Then he catches Osric's sleeve. Did you read it? Osric shakes his head. Gilbert's voice drops. 3 houses in East Lane have fever. Maybe 4. Osric feels the air change. How bad? Bad enough that the priest went twice. Is it plague? Gilbert does not answer. That is, answer enough to chill a furnace. Plague is the word people avoid, because saying it makes the room smaller. It had come through parts of England before. It had emptied streets. It had taken whole families. Even decades later, the memory remained like a scar beneath clothing. Witchmere has been lucky for years. Now fever is moving in East Lane, and the bathhouse is where the whole town meets. The council says morality. The church says temptation. Corvin says obedience. But the real fear is sickness. Warm rooms, shared water, crowded bodies, and gossip that spreads faster than fleas. Osric looks out at the main room. People laugh. Steam rises. A child splashes in a tub. A merchant complains about a draft. None of them know what may be coming. And here's the cruel part. For many of them, tonight may be their last good memory before fear shuts every door. Osric returns to the furnace. He unfolds Gilbert's paper. The message is short. East Lane fever. Keep people apart if you can. Too late if you cannot. Osric folds it again. Too late. 2 words can weigh more than a bucket of water. Mara finds him standing still. What is it? He shows her. She reads it once. Her face does not change, but her hand tightens around the cloth. We should close now, he says. Mara looks toward the main room. A woman with red hands soaks her feet. An old man leans back with his eyes shut. 2 workers laugh at his story. And send them where? She asks. Osric hates that. She is right. Outside, winter wind moves along the lane. Many people came here because they were cold, sore, lonely, or tired. To close the door now would be wise. It would also feel like betrayal. We keep the rooms less crowded, Mara says. Fresh water for each tub when possible. No sharing cloths. Osric nods. And no singing. Mara looks at him. If Corvin wants silence, he can sit in a pond. This is why Osric loves her. The afternoon deepens. Customers come and go. Some have heard the bathhouse is closing. They arrive with urgency, as if warmth may run out by law. A cooper brings a small cask of ale as payment for one last soak. A seamstress brings a packet of soapwort. A young mother brings her little boy, who hates water with the passion of a cornered goat. The boy screams when his feet touch the tub. His mother says he will thank her one day. He says he will not. History supports both possibilities. Kit carries hot water to them. The boy glares at him. I shall never bathe again, the boy says. Kit nods. Many men try that. The boy thinks about this. Then he allows one knee into the water with great suspicion. Nearby, a miller named Tom Braid arrives, smelling of flour, sweat, and defeat. He claims he came to support the bathhouse. Mara says he came because his wife sent him. He admits both can be true. The bathhouse grows warmer and louder. It should feel joyful. Instead, every laugh lands on something fragile. Osric keeps watching the door. He expects Corvin to return. He expects the priest. He expects worse. Around the 9th hour, the priest comes. Father Anselm is not the villain. That makes everything harder. He is tired, kind, and often anxious. He enters with his hood up, even though he is indoors. His robe is damp from mist. Osric meets him near the entrance. Father, Osric. They stand in awkward silence. From the main room, someone drops a cup. It clatters across the floor. Father Anselm flinches like it is thunder. I did not wish it to end this way, he says. Osric answers softly. Then why help end it? The priest closes his eyes. You know why? I know what they say. There are complaints, men and women. Mixed company, drinking, loose talk. Loose talk keeps half this town from exploding. The priest almost smiles. Then his face falls. There is fever in East Lane. Osric studies him. You knew. I was called there. Then say that. Say the town is afraid. Father Anselm looks toward the steam. Fear listens better when dressed as virtue. That sentence sits between them like a cold stone. And now Osric understands. The church does not want to say sickness is here. The council does not want panic. So the bathhouse will be blamed instead, not for fever, for temptation, for laughter, for warm water and human bodies and songs after dark. It is safer to close a place than to admit a town is frightened. Osric says, people will think we did wrong. Father Anselm looks ashamed. Some already do. And you, the priest sighs. I think you gave comfort. I also think comfort can gather crowds. Osric says nothing. Both men are right. This is the worst kind of argument before leaving. Father Anselm blesses the water. He does it quietly. No big ceremony. Just a hand over the nearest tub, and a murmur. Alda watches from a bench and whispers, a bit late but welcome. Father Anselm hears her. He smiles despite himself. Then he leaves. The door closes. Steam swallows the space he left behind. Evening falls. This is when St. Bridget's baths usually becomes magic. Candles are lit along the walls. The furnace glows deep red. Wet stone shines beneath the feet. Curtains sway, voices soften. Outside the town grows cold and blue. Inside the air turns gold. Mara hangs fresh linen near the warm wall. Kit lights the lamps. Rowan carries in the last wood from the yard. The bathhouse smells of rosemary, smoke, wet wool, and soap. People begin to arrive, not for washing, but to say goodbye. Not openly, of course. They disguise it as errands. A blacksmith comes to check the stove latch. A baker comes to return a bowl. A widow comes to ask about lavender. 3 men come to See if the water is still warm. It is. They pay anyway. A musician named Piers arrives with a small pipe tucked into his belt. Mara points at it. No songs, says the bailiff. Piers looks offended. This is not a song. It is a wooden object. If the wooden object makes music, I will blame you. He grins. This may be the last night, but mischief has entered with him. The main room fills again. Osric wants fewer people. His heart wants all of them. He compromises badly, as humans often do. He limits the tubs, but lets people sit along the walls. Warmth is shared. Stories begin. A carter tells of a bridge haunted by a horse with no head. Alda says she knew the horse and disliked the head it had. Gilbert, the barber surgeon, plays dice with the miller. He loses 3 times and calls it medical research. The young mother's son now refuses to leave the tub. This is the same child who hated water earlier. He is discovered floating. He may become king of the bath if allowed. Yet beneath the humor, something trembles. Everyone knows this is ending. They look at the beams. They touch the tubs. They notice the old carved post near the furnace. It has knife marks from years of bored apprentices. Kit carved a fish there once. Rowan carved his initials badly. Osric pretended not to see. In one corner, Ilan the widow begins singing the rain lullaby again. Softly at first, Mara looks toward the door. No Corvin. The song continues. Others grow quiet. The melody curls through the steam. It is not a tavern song. It is old, gentle, and full of weather. Piers takes out his pipe. Mara points at him. He freezes. Then she looks away. The pipe joins the song. And suddenly St. Bridget's Baths is alive in a way it has not been for years. People hum. The furnace glows. Water shivers with light. Even the old walls seem to listen. This is the moment they will remember when the doors are barred. Not the order, not the fear. This warmth, this foolish, brave warmth. Then Rowan drops a bucket in the back room. The crash ends the song at once. Everyone jumps. Rowan shouts, "I am not dead." Kit shouts back, "That remains disappointing." Osric hurries to the back room. Rowan stands near the storage floor, holding a broken bucket handle. Water runs between the boards. One plank near the wall has lifted. Beneath it is a dark gap. Osric kneels. "Did you break the floor?" Rowan looks horrified. "Not on purpose." "That is never as comforting as you think." Kit arrives with a lamp. Mara follows. They lift the plank. Underneath is a small space between the floor and foundation. Inside, wrapped in rotted cloth, lies a tin box. Nobody speaks. A hidden box under a bathhouse floor is never boring. Osric pulls it out. The metal is stained green with age. The latch resists, then opens. Inside are coins, a wax tablet, and a strip of parchment. The coins are old. The tablet is cracked. The parchment is dry but readable. Mara holds it near the lamp. "It is my father's hand," she says. Osric goes still. Mara's father, Edric, built St. Bridget's Baths 30 years before Osric married her. He died before the plague years returned to stories. He was a cheerful man, by all accounts. He also hid money in strange places, which now seems rude but useful. Mara reads the parchment. Her voice is low. "For the keeping of the baths, when council men forget what warmth is worth." Alda appears in the doorway. "Read louder." Mara looks up. Half the room is listening. She continues. The note says Edric paid a fee to the old abbey for the right to use the spring channel under the town wall. It says the bathhouse water did not come only from the well. Some came from an older covered spring. A warm spring. Not hot, but warmer than the river. It had been protected long ago by the monks. The bathhouse had been built where comfort already lived underground. Osric stares at the note. "Why hide this?" Mara whispers. Alda answers from behind them. "Because men with seals love finding things to tax." That sounds painfully true. The note may mean the bathhouse has rights the council forgot. It may mean nothing, it may mean everything. But before anyone can think clearly, the front door slams open. Bailiff Corvin has returned. and this time he is not alone. Two councilmen stand behind him. Father Anselm is there too, pale and unhappy. Corvin sees the crowd, the pipe, the wet floor, the open box, and the face is turned toward him. His expression sharpens like a knife. I ordered no gathering after sunset. Osric stands. He is tired of bending. The order said, closed by morning. This is defiance. Mara steps beside Osric. This is bathing. Corvin points at the main room. This house has become a place of disorder. Alda leans on her stick. Your mouth is a place of disorder. Several people cough to hide laughter. Corvin ignores her because he wishes to live. He announces that the bathhouse will be sealed at once. No more water drawn. No more fires lit. No more gatherings. He says the council will take custody of the building until it is decided what should be done with it. Osric asks, and what will be done? Corvin says a storehouse perhaps. The word lands like dirt on bread. A storehouse for grain, or barrels, or tools. The warm heart of the town reduced to a locked shed. Then Mara raises the parchment. My father paid rights for the spring channel. Corvin blinks. For the first time all night. He looks uncertain. One councilman leans in. The other squints. Father Anselm looks at the parchment and whispers, Edric Vale. Corvin reaches for it. Mara pulls it back. Careful. You may hurt yourself reading. The crowd murmurs. Corvin's face reddens. Old notes do not overrule public order. No, Osric says. But they may overrule theft. That is a dangerous word. Everyone hears it. Theft. The room changes again. The people of Witchmere may tolerate rules. They may tolerate taxes. They may even tolerate Corvin on very dull days. But taking what a family built is something else. The blacksmith steps forward. The miller stands. The baker crosses his arms. The mother lifts her boy out of the tub and wraps him in cloth. The boy says, Is the thin man bad? No one answers quickly enough. Corvin says, This is exactly the disorder I mean. Father Anselm steps between them. Enough. His voice is soft, but it carries. He looks at Osric, then Mara, then the crowd. The fever is real. Silence falls hard. Corvin turns sharply. Father. No, Father Anselm says. They should know. The priest looks older now. East Lane has sickness. The council fears crowds. The bathhouse is not being closed only for sin. It is being closed because we are afraid. The word afraid moves through the steam. It changes people's faces. Some look angry, some scared, some relieved to hear the truth at last. Gilbert lowers his eyes. Alda makes the sign of the cross. Mara grips the parchment. Osric feels the furnace heat on his back and cold fear in his stomach. The bathhouse is warm, but the world has entered. The councilmen whisper to Corvin. Corvin looks furious, not because the priest lied, because he told the truth badly for politics. Father Anselm continues. This gathering must end tonight, but I will not say this house was wicked. I will not let that be the last word. Osric looks at him. That is not enough to save the baths, but it is enough to save their name. Sometimes history leaves very little. You take what truth you can carry. Mara asks, Then what now? The priest looks toward the people. You go home. You keep distance if there is fever near you. You boil cloths. You clean what you can. You help East Lane without crowding the sick rooms. And you remember this place kindly. Alda says I plan to remember it loudly. Corvin snaps. The building will still be sealed. Osric says at dawn. Corvin begins to object. Father Anselm interrupts. At dawn, the councilmen nod. Corvin's mouth tightens until it nearly becomes a button. He has lost the room. He knows it. The crowd begins to thin, not quickly. People leave like they are walking away from a friend. The blacksmith touches the doorframe. The baker thanks Mara. The young mother wraps her sleeping boy and kisses his wet hair. Piers plays one quiet note on his pipe before Mara can stop him. She does not stop him. Gilbert gives Osric a small packet of herbs. For smoke cleansing, he says, also for smell. Mainly smell. Osric smiles faintly. The miller pays what he owes. This surprises everyone, including the miller. Alda is the last customer to leave the main room. She turns at the door. Your water eased my bones for 20 years, she says. If heaven has cold benches, I shall complain until they send me here. Mara hugs her. Alda pretends not to need it. Then she goes into the dark. By late night, only the Bathhouse family remains, Osric, Mara, Kit, and Rowan. The furnace burns low. The tubs stand quiet. Steam fades from the rafters. The floor is wet. The hidden box sits on the table. Mara reads her father's note again. The words are small and faded. When council men forget what warmth is worth, Osric says, he knew them well. Mara smiles sadly. Kit asks if the note can save the baths later. No one answers at first. Rowan says, maybe we hide it again. Mara says, no, this time we keep it where men can see it. Men do not always see, Kit says. Then we read it loudly, Mara replies. They work together to clean. That is how the last night becomes ordinary again. Buckets are emptied. Linens are wrung. Benches are wiped. Fires are banked. The final chores do not care about heartbreak. They wait with wet feet. Osric scrubs one tub himself. It is the oldest tub, repaired so many times that no plank remembers being new. He thinks of all the people who sat there. Farmers, wives, soldiers, brides, widows, children, monks, fools, liars, lovers, men with sore backs, women with tired hands. A bathhouse holds bodies, but it also holds the daily weight people bring in and set down for a while. That is why closing it feels like more than closing a door. It feels like taking away one of the few places where a hard life became softer. Mara comes beside him. Leave it, she says. It is clean enough for a ghost. My standards are higher. Your standards are wet. They look at each other. Then they laugh. It is not a big laugh. It is tired and cracked. But it is real. Near midnight, Osric opens the front door. Cold air enters. The street is empty. The moon has risen behind clouds. East Lane lies in darkness beyond the market. Somewhere there, families are awake with fever. He feels ashamed for thinking only of his own loss. Then he feels angry for having to choose between griefs. Life is often cruel that way. It hands you two sorrows and asks which one you would like to hold. Father Anselm waits outside. He has returned alone. I thought you had gone, Osric says. I thought so too. The priest steps inside. He looks around the dim room. I was baptized in this town, he says. But when my mother was dying, she asked to be brought here, she said. The steam helped her breathe. Osric had not known. Father Anselm touches the doorframe. I should have spoken sooner. Mara says, yes. It is not cruel. It is true. The priest nods. I will keep the parchment safe if you wish. Mara holds it close. No. Good, he says. That was the correct answer. Osric studies him. Will the council destroy the channel? Not if I can stop them. Can you? Father Anselm gives a tired smile. Probably not alone. Mara says, then do not be alone. The priest nods. This is not victory. Not yet. But it is the smallest beginning of one. After he leaves, the bathhouse grows quiet again. Osric and Mara sit on the bench beside the furnace. Kit and Rowan sleep near the back wall, wrapped in blankets. Rowan snores like a broken bellows. Kit mutters in his sleep about buckets. Outside, the first pale edge of dawn touches the sky. The last night is almost over. Osric looks at the tubs. He hears echoes, laughter, songs, complaints, splashing, secrets whispered through steam. Alice, the baker's wife, saying the water was too hot. Tom, the miller, insisting it was too cold. Alda threatening to haunt them if the herbs were weak. Children crying before a bath and refusing to leave after. The memory of warmth is thick in the room. Mara leans against him. What will we do? She asks. Osric looks toward the furnace. Today we close. And tomorrow? He thinks of the hidden spring, the parchment, the people who stood against Corvin. The fever in East Lane, tomorrow. We carry water where it is needed. Mara nods slowly. That is how the bathhouse will live for now. Not as a place for crowds, as work, as care, as boiled linen, clean cloths, warm water delivered to sick doors, and herbs left on steps. A building can be closed. A purpose is harder to seal. At sunrise, Corvin returns with the councilmen. He finds the room swept, the tubs empty, the furnace low, and Osric waiting. Mara stands beside him with the parchment in a sealed leather cover. Kit and Rowan stand behind them. Corvin looks disappointed that there is no disorder to condemn. People like Corvin prefer their enemies messy. Osric hands him the key. For now, he says. Corvin takes it. The council holds this building, Mara says, and we hold the rights. Corvin glances at the leather cover. He says nothing. The door is closed. The bar is set. A seal is pressed into wax. St. Bridget's Baths is silent. The sign outside creaks in the morning wind. Townspeople have gathered at a distance. Not a crowd exactly. More like a line of witnesses pretending to be passing by. Alda is there with her stick. Gilbert stands near the baker. The blacksmith folds his arms. Father Anselm waits near the church path. No one cheers. No one sings. But when Osric and Mara step away from the door, people nod. One by one. It is not dramatic. It is better. It is real. That afternoon, warm water is carried to East Lane. Not by the council, not by Corvin. By Osric, Mara, Kit, Rowan, Gilbert, Alda, and half the people who once came to bathe. They boil cloths. They leave covered pots. They bring herbs. They keep distance when told that they do what they can, because medieval medicine is limited, but human care is not. Some recover. Some do not. The story does not pretend otherwise, but even in fear, the memory of the bathhouse shapes them. Warmth had taught the town something. It had taught them that bodies need care, that labor deserves relief. That gossip can carry warnings as well as nonsense. That comfort is not sin when life is cold. Weeks pass, the bathhouse remains sealed. The fever lessens, winter turns to mud. Corvin tries to claim the building for storage, but the parchment causes problems. Mara enjoys those problems. Father Anselm speaks for the vials. Alda speaks louder than him. The council delays. That is not the same as justice, but it is a crack in the door. Some say St. Bridget's Baths never reopened. Some say it reopened years later under another name. Some say the spring channel still runs beneath the town, warm as breath under stone. As for Osric and Mara, they keep the sign, the crooked bathers, Kit calls it, because he is bad at naming things. Rowan says it should be the warm bucket. Everyone rejects this. The old sign is stored in their back room. Sometimes Osric touches the carved wood and hears the last night again. Steam, song, laughter. Corvin's angry little beard, the hidden box, the lullaby. Alda's stick on the floor. The final warm breath of a place before it closed, and maybe that is why this night matters. History often remembers what was burned, crowned, conquered, or written into law. It forgets the places where ordinary people simply felt better for an hour. A bathhouse does not sound heroic. It has no sword. It has no throne. It mostly has buckets. But for a tired town, warm water can be a kind of kindness. And kindness, when fear arrives, becomes more important than pride. So when you imagine the Middle Ages tonight, do not only imagine castles and battles. Imagine a timber bathhouse near a muddy lane. Imagine steam in the rafters. Imagine a bathkeeper feeding the furnace. Imagine his wife folding linen by candlelight. Imagine apprentices arguing over buckets. Imagine a widow singing softly in warm water while the cold waits outside. Then imagine the door closing at dawn, not forever in memory, only in wood and iron. Because long after St. Bridget's Baths was sealed, people remembered what warmth was worth. And somewhere beneath Witchmere, under stone mud and old foundations, the spring kept moving in the dark.